Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 12 of Post-TAP. I'm your host, JoshAgeddon. I'm recording this on February the 11th, 2025. Got some stuff to talk about, as I always do. I'm never physically capable of shutting the fuck up, ever. Wow, 20 seconds in and I'm already swearing. Today's gonna be interesting. On this episode, I have your favorite segment on this show, more car problems that I've been having since the last episode. I want to discuss some things happening in the wrestling world, so if you are not a fan of wrestling, then I honestly don't even know how you managed to stumble across this podcast, but we're going to talk about it regardless. I have some thoughts on Kanye West's recent Twitter meltdown, and my god, it was interesting. And I briefly have some thoughts on the Super Bowl. So you could literally hear the excitement for what I'm talking about go down the second that I mentioned the Super Bowl. I don't think it's any secret that I'm not the biggest fan of football, but there's a reason why I want to talk about it, but I'll get to that later. Also, just a quick little news update that interests me. I don't know if it's going to interest you, but it interests me. Apparently, at least according to the drummer of Black Veil Brides, apparently Black Veil Brides is currently in the studio working on a new album, Black Veil Brides 7, which the fans have affectionately dubbed it because they're so creative. Although, that you can't really say all that much about that, though, because, I mean, they have an album that's literally just called Black Veil Brides. Their fourth album is just a self-titled album. I never got that. Like, Black Veil Brides is my second favorite band behind Marilyn Manson. I love Black Veil Brides. I don't know why they didn't go with a title for the fourth album. A lot of people just call it 4 or Black Veil Brides 4. I don't know. You'd think, like, with Bad Omen's first album is a self-titled album. But that makes sense because that's their first. But anyway, now I'm just going off on a tangent. But I'm very excited for the 7th Black Veil Brides album that will probably be here in 2026. So I don't like waiting. So thank you for getting me excited just to make me wait. And before I really get started here, just a couple programming notes, some things for you guys to look forward to, things that I'm working on, and things that will be happening over the next week or two. Later today at 9:30 is the XTW Submission Championship quarterfinals. We have 4 matches. We have, the first 2 matches are just, and the last 2 matches are like, oh, those are bangers. So we've got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Scott Steiner. What? We've got Freddy Krueger versus Plankton. What is my wrestling show? We have Luigi versus Shelton Benjamin. And the main event is Bryan Danielson and the White Ranger. That is the one I'm looking forward to most. So we have the quarterfinals. And, just a little bit of a spoiler, I got my buddy Sean, the Sentinel from CIW and the Court Martial Podcast and Super Jam Session version 2. I got him to do color commentary on that episode, so be looking forward to that later tonight at 9:30. Again, it is the quarterfinals of the XTW Submission Championship Tournament. That you'll find it on my YouTube channel, TAW Gaming. The link will be in the description at 9:30 tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are on the West Coast, you'll just have to convert that time yourself because I don't feel like doing it. Whatever time that is on the West Coast, have fun with that, or wherever else in the world. Apparently, I have some viewers in India. Cool. I don't know what time it is over there, but you'll get notified, I'm sure. Also, this upcoming Monday, Raw, WWE Raw, is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think it's the Spectrum Center. I'm actually going to that show, so I've made 2 videos previously over the past couple years. I went to an episode of AEW Dynamite in, I believe, 2022 with my brother, and I recorded me and Alex being there, and I put it on YouTube. And then a couple years later, I went to an episode of I think it was 2023. I went to an episode of SmackDown, because it was also in South Carolina. So, and I recorded that, and I put it on YouTube. Same thing here. I'm going to go to my first episode of Monday Night Raw, and I'm going to record a couple things and put it on YouTube. And I'll probably talk about it on the next episode of Post-TAP. And since Skylar went to an episode of Raw, and we talked about it over on the Court Martial Podcast, we might do that on the Court Martial Podcast as well. Remains to be seen. And from what I saw, because I watched Raw last night, and I thought it was a decent show, the absolute highlight was Gunther taking his jacket off and just launching it right into the skull of a child. That was... Pat McAfee, that was aimed for you. Why did you duck? It's like if Piccolo shot the special beam cannon and Raditz ducked and it just hit Goku. That's what that made me think of. I was like, you should have just taken one for the team, Pat McAfee. But no, a child had to be sacrificed live on Monday Night Raw to get Gunther over as a mega heel. Oh my god, it was so hilarious. Gunther is my spirit animal. But yeah, from what I saw, the upcoming card for Charlotte, North Carolina next week that I'm actually going to be in attendance for, we're getting a rematch between Penta and Pete Dunne. I'm very much looking forward to that because they had a very good match on Raw a couple weeks ago. Although they're doing this storyline with Ludwig Kaiser, so there's probably going to be some shenanigans or shenaniganery, either one of those two variants, during that. So that'll be interesting. We're going to have an Elimination Chamber qualification match: Roxanne Perez versus the infinite charisma black hole vortex vacuum known as Raquel Rodriguez. I wonder who's going to win that matchup. We're getting another Elimination Chamber qualification match for the men. It's going to be Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. That's probably going to main event the show. And we're also getting AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio in a, I wouldn't have called that, but I'm glad you're doing it match. That should be fun. So I think I'm in for a fun show coming up on Monday. And again, I will record it and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. I'll probably talk about it on Post TAP episode 13. And we'll probably talk about it over on the Court Martial podcast. Also, before that, on Saturday, I'm getting my first tattoo. You heard that right. Your boy is getting some ink. And I said that like the whitest person ever. And you're just going to have to deal with it. What tattoo am I getting? I'm getting the 4-star Dragon Ball. Probably on my right shoulder. And it's not going to be a one and done thing. I'm probably going to get several tattoos. But that will be my first one. That is going to be my first one. My second one is probably going... I'm planning on getting the Wings of Freedom emblem from Attack on Titan on my left shoulder. And a bunch of tattoos that I'm planning on getting in the future. Hopefully it's not too expensive. Doesn't put me back too much. But we shall see. We shall see. Now, to business, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start things off with everyone's favorite segment here on Post TAP, Joshua versus his car. I need like a little sound effect to start off this segment. Hang on just a second. Okay, I actually stopped recording so I could find the sound effect. So, alright, so this is the intro for Joshua versus his car. Alright, I think that's enough. I think you get the point. I think my favorite part of that is the first comment on that video, because I found the sound effect on YouTube. The first comment is, my man's crashed into a whole city. It certainly sounded like it, but yeah, me versus my car. It's everyone's favorite part of the podcast. It's been on, like, what, the last several episodes? Me and technology are, at this point, just mortal enemies. I don't know what I did to technology. Probably talk shit about it a lot. That probably doesn't help. But you know what? If you want me to stop talking shit, then do what I tell you to. But anyway, back to me and my car. This just toxic relationship between me and motor vehicles. Okay, so every month on the 20th, I have to go to the dealership where I got my car from, and I have to give them $250 in cash. It's my car payment. They don't do debit cards, and it's not just automatically taken out of my account. It's Lancaster. It's backwoods. There's probably tumbleweeds going around. It's very old-timey, so I have to physically drive down there and hand them $250 in cash. Maybe I'll go down there one day with some IOUs from Dumb and Dumber. I don't think they'll accept that, though, but I can try. So I went down there, And it was actually during the inauguration. It was on the 20th of January, during Donald Trump's inauguration, which I was listening to as I was driving. And when I got there, I didn't go in immediately. I was just listening to the inauguration because I was curious to see what he would say. And it took forever because there's a whole bunch of pomp and circumstance, and all the song "Pomp and Circumstance" I'm pretty sure played at least once. And it's a whole ceremony, and I was bored, and I was like, can we just get to the part where the man talks? Like, this is taking forever. And then finally he started talking, and I was like, all right, I might as well go in and make my payment. So I went in and made my payment, and I got back in my car, and he was still talking, and I started driving off, and then all of a sudden, my car was bumping, and it was like, my car is a lot bumpier than normal all of a sudden. What is happening? So I pull over to the side of the road. Guess what? I have a flat tire. That was me smacking the microphone in frustration. And I was like, I can't even listen to the inaugural address without getting a flat tire. So, thankfully, I was right beside the dealership. So I just very nervously drove back into the parking lot, and they were like, hey, you were just here. And I was like, I have a flat tire. And they were like, oh, we can fill it up for you. And I was like, okay, cool. So they filled up my tire and we were both... The dude who was filling up my tire was actually listening to the inaugural address with his headphones in. And he was like, so you should probably get your tire changed. And I was like, I know a place. So there's a place in Lancaster called Cody Tire, and I go there usually whenever I have tire problems. Was it a couple months ago? Time is a nebulous concept. Recently, there we go. Recently, I ran over something in the road. There was a screw in my tire, but it was so perfectly wedged in that it was blocking the air from coming out, which that's never happened to me before. But I didn't want it in there because I didn't want the tire to be damaged, so I took it to Cody Tire. I usually go to Cody Tire whenever I have an issue like that. And I had to get that tire replaced, and it was only $80, $90, which is less than I was expecting for a brand new tire. So that was fun, and I was still like, man, of course, while I'm trying to listen to the inauguration of our new president, I end up with a flat tire. Great. Wonderful. 2025 is off to a banger of a start. And then this was like last week or the week before. I had to get my oil changed. Oh yeah, we're not done with me and car problems. We're not done with me and car problems just yet. So everyone's favorite segment on my podcast. And I actually told Sean about this because me and Sean do commentary for my show, do commentary for his show. And usually when me and Sean call each other to do commentary for our shows, there's like an hour of us just flirting, I guess. Just talking about whatever. And I told him about this, and his reaction was hilarious. He probably has it, because he records a lot of our conversations, so he probably has me talking about my oil change issue somewhere on one of his laptops or computers or whatever he uses. So basically, I usually go to Walmart, and I know what you're thinking. Stop right there. We've discovered the problem, Joshua. You're going to Walmart for your oil change. I know. Just don't, before you judge me, let it be known that I'm aware that it's probably not the best choice. But the thing is, it's cheap. It's only $30, and I like how cheap it is, because I don't like spending money. And actually, I went over to Andy's house, because we were hanging out, and I think it was when we were celebrating her birthday, because her birthday was actually a couple days ago. Happy belated birthday, Andy. Andy is 23 years old now, so wish Andy a happy birthday. But we were celebrating Andy's birthday, and I was like, she lives right next to... Andy lives right next to everything. She lives in Lexington. She lives next to a movie theater. She lives next to Walmart. I'm not jealous at all. If I want to go to the movies, or if I want to go to Walmart, it's a 15-minute drive. For Andy, it's literally a 30-second drive, and I'm not jealous. This is not the sound of jealousy you're hearing. But anyway, so I was like, all right, before I leave, I'm gonna get my oil changed at your Walmart. So we go to her Walmart, and they're like, we can't change your oil because you have to make an appointment because we're having so many requests, so sorry. And I was like, well, you certainly suck today, don't you, Mr. Oil Change Person? There's a hair on my microphone. Okay, I got it. ADHD. So I was like, all right, I guess I won't get my oil changed today. And my car actually has a meter where there's a button in my car where you press it a couple times, it'll show what the temperature is, it'll show how many miles you have, and the last one is it shows the oil life. And it doesn't like have, I guess a meter is the wrong word. It has a percentage. Like if I just had my oil changed, my oil life will be at 100%. If like it's been a couple weeks, it'll be like it goes down. And when it gets to 15%, my car will let me know, hey, you need to change your oil because it's getting low. So my oil was at 15%, and I was like, I mean, I should probably, I'll be fine for the next couple days. I'll go to the one in Lancaster 15 minutes from my house. So I go to the one in Lancaster 15 minutes from my house, and I get there, and they check my car in, and I'm wandering around Walmart, and I actually bought 3 DVDs. I bought The Substance on DVD, I bought Deadpool and Wolverine on DVD, and I bought Venom: The Last Dance on DVD. I also saw Joker 2 Folie à Deux on DVD. I did not buy that on DVD because fuck that movie. And again, I'm just like, man, I have stuff to do. I'm recording with Sean to do, so I hope they get done with my car soon. So I get a text message, because when they sign you in to do your oil change, they get your phone number and they'll text you updates. So they texted me that my car was done. So I go over to pay, and they're like, we did not change your oil. And I'm like, you didn't Mick what? What the McFuck are you talking about? I don't know why I'm going McDonald's references. I mean, it's right beside a McDonald's, so. But anyway, so this dude explains to me that I'm not a car person, so I'm not entirely sure if I'm reciting what he told me correctly, but from what I understand, the last time I got my oil changed at Walmart, when they put the dipstick back in my car, they put it in crooked or cockeyed, and when he tried to pull it out to look at my oil, apparently it tightened up and he couldn't get it out, and he was worried about taking it out, and he didn't want to break my car. So he just didn't do anything with the dipstick, and they were going to use, they have this vacuum that sucks the oil out of your car, and then they can replace the oil that way. But their vacuum oil sucker 5000-atron, whatever it's called, it was broken. It was out of commission, and I was like, oh, so when are y'all going to get a new one? And he was like, honestly, dude, I have no idea. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll go somewhere else then. So then I went the next day, or I think it was actually 2 days later, because the day after that was a Tuesday, and I was going to go get my oil changed on a Tuesday, but I was like, you know what? Today's my day off. I want to relax. I want to enjoy myself. I want to live my life. So that's what I did. So on Wednesday, I went to a place in Kershaw, and they changed my oil, no problem. It took them 10 minutes. Only problem is it cost me $60. And that is the sound of sadness that you're now hearing. Like, my wallet was literally crying in agony. Like, no! No, why? But, I mean, I got my oil changed, and now I'm like, I guess I'm not going to Walmart anymore. But I go to one Walmart. Sorry, sir, you need to sign a permission slip and make an appointment, because apparently it's like a doctor's office, except for cars. Because that makes sense. And the other oil change Walmart, whatever, is like, we're sorry, but your dipstick is a dipstick, and we just don't wanna. So I guess I've learned my lesson, and I'll be going to that place in Kershaw so they can charge me $60 from now on. Great. How could you, Walmart? We had a good thing going, and you ruined it. Both of you, the Walmart in Lexington and the Walmart in Lancaster, both of yous, you ruined it. I wanted to give you my $30, but you wouldn't let... Although when at the Lancaster Walmart, they vacuumed out my car. So that was cool. That was nice. So I guess I can't bitch too much, but I will bitch a little bit. So that was the end of this installment of Joshua versus his car. Although I guess the second one wasn't really my car problem. It was a Walmart problem, I guess. And me getting my tire changed. So until next time, when I'm guaranteed to have more car problems, and I will regale you all with my never-ending bad luck when it comes to motor vehicles on the 13th episode of Post TAP. So be looking forward to that. All right, so I do want to talk about the Super Bowl briefly. As I mentioned a second ago, I am not a big fan of football. I hate it. It is one of my least favorite things. Soccer is better. And now everyone's going to call me a communist. Well, I voted for Donald Trump, so fuck you. But anyway, how communist am I now? I didn't vote for the red flag, I voted for the orange man. Anyway. So, I mean, by the way, yes, I am perfectly fine on my YouTube channel and Spotify or whatever, letting you people know what my political leanings are. This is not me saying, whenever I talk about my political leanings, I'm never like, oh, this is who you should vote for. I'm never going to direct my audience to vote for a particular person. If you choose to vote, you vote for who you think is best. That is my endorsement. I endorse who you want to win. Yeah, I'm the ultimate politician. I'm here for you. I want you to vote for who you like. Because I'm all about empowering individuals. What the fuck am I talking about? What is this weird tirade? I guess it's just a disclaimer because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to force my political opinions on them on my podcast. I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I believe. But I'm also like, if you believe differently, that's totally fine. Just don't be a dick about it. But on that note, Super Bowl. Focus up on the Super Bowl. All right. And it actually kind of does tie into Donald Trump, so we'll get into that in a second. But so yeah, I was watching. Well, I wasn't watching. I was delivering pizza while the Super Bowl was happening, and the two busiest days at Pizza Hut are the Super Bowl and Christmas Eve. Those are our two busiest days. Made a bunch of money in tips. So while I was delivering pizza and everyone else was going all goo-ga over people in helmets throwing balls at each other, while that was going on, I was periodically checking X, and that was also when I was seeing Kanye West absolutely have a meltdown, and the day before, which I'll get to that later. That's probably going to be my closing segment, but we'll get to that later. So, I wasn't really. It was the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles, I guess. Again, I don't keep up with this. So that was happening, and I didn't really care. However, one thing that I did notice that made me laugh hysterically is before the game started, they were doing the national anthem. The camera cut to Donald Trump, who Donald Trump was there in attendance, and he's actually the first sitting president in our country's history to attend the Super Bowl, which it would be a lot cooler if he was the first sitting president to attend a WrestleMania, but baby steps, I guess. Wrestling's better than football. But that's just my... Actually, you know what? That is what I am going to shove down your throat on this podcast. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you that my sport is better and yours is sucker. My sport good, your sport bad. Another strange episode here on Post TAP. I'm very unhinged. I did not sleep well last night, and you can probably tell. I had a monster, so I'm rearing and ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. I won't tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you what sport to watch. But anyway, so Trump was there, and when the camera panned to him, dude got a ginormous pop. Like, the crowd went nuts. But later on, what made it funny is later on the big Jumbotron, the camera cut to Taylor Swift. and the boos. She got booed out the fucking building, and I laughed so hard. Like, that was literally the only thing I cared about when it came to the Super Bowl. I don't care that the Eagles won. It is kind of cool that the Kansas City Chiefs lost. But although Sean had a tinfoil hat moment, which he's probably right, but he was like, sure, the Eagles may have won, but it's a psyop. They did that on purpose just to throw us off the scent. And I'm just like, yeah, you're probably right, Sean, but that's a nice tinfoil hat you're wearing. But my thing is the look on Taylor Swift's face when she got booed out the building. Just I was howling because it was like the realization set in. It was like the look on her face read, "What do you mean not everyone worships me?" It was an absolute, like, welcome to reality, welcome back down to earth, honey moment. And I loved it. I love it when insufferably narcissistic people run face first into reality. It's nice. And it really did feel like a culture shift moment. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't hate Taylor Swift. I think some of her music is fine, and some of her music is garbage. My thing is, I don't need to hear about this woman every single day for the rest of my life. Especially in 2023. 2023 was really bad. And some in 2024. It died down a little bit in 2024, thank God. But for a good 10, 11, 12, a little over a year, maybe even like 16 months, all I heard about every single day was Taylor Swift this, Taylor Swift that. She's amazing that. Travis Kelce this. And I'm just like, oh my God, can everyone shut up? Like, I've always been, she's a person that exists. Like, I've been very indifferent on Taylor Swift. And I still am very indifferent to Taylor Swift. But if you drive me insane about a person every single day incessantly, it's going to make me hate whoever it is. It's not even her fault. It's her fans and the media that have been pushing her. Just stop. And at the same, funnily enough, the crowd booed Taylor and they cheered Donald Trump. I'm also sick and tired of hearing about Donald Trump. Like, yes, I voted for the man. I voted for him twice, in 2020 and in 2024. Yes, I voted for the man. But I have heard about Donald Trump every single day since 2016, and I'm sick and tired of it. Yeah, he won the presidency in a landslide. It was a cultural mandate. He won the popular vote. Yeah, Donald Trump. I'm sick and tired of hearing about this guy. In January of 2029, when he leaves office, I am hoping and praying that after that, I will never hear about this human being ever again. Because I'm getting to the point where I'm just sick and tired. Like, I've been there, but I'm just exhausted at this point. If I could go the rest of my life without ever hearing about Taylor Swift ever again, that'd be great. If I could also go the rest of my life without ever hearing about Donald Trump ever again, that would be great. How's that for a moderate position? Like, oh, Joshua's a member of MAGA. Like, oh, he's a misogynist. He hates Taylor Swift because she has a vagina. No. I just don't like hearing about the same thing over and over and over and over again constantly for years. It's enough to drive a man a little loony. And have you listened to this podcast? Everything you've heard up to this point. Do I sound like I'm of sound mind? Do I sound like I'm of sound mind, ladies and gentlemen? I didn't think so. But yeah, I did think it was funny because, like, again, and someone put her face next to that meme of that monkey Muppet whatever thing. The meme with the eyes where the thing is like you can see its eyes looking away. Like she basically did that meme in real life, and it was hilarious. Just, it's always nice when someone comes to the realization of, what do you mean the world doesn't revolve around me? It's what I've been saying. It's what a lot of people have been saying. So that was absolutely hysterical. Just not even that they booed Taylor Swift, just that they booed Taylor and cheered Trump, the same crowd. And the culture is a-changing, ladies and gentlemen. I said this, I believe, the episode, I think it was episode 10 after Donald Trump won the election. And I was like, one of my favorite things about him winning is the fact that Taylor Swift's endorsement meant nothing. It absolutely meant nothing. And just about every celebrity there is backed Kamala Harris, because if you're a celebrity in Hollywood, they put it in your contract. If they have a D next to their name, you have to support them publicly. Because it's very inauthentic, which is part of why it didn't work. But the death of celebrity culture and celebrity worship is a thing that I love to see happen in real time. I'm glad that we're getting here as a nation. Keep it going, because my thing is, celebrities are modern day court jesters. They're court jesters that perform in front of a camera. Like, they're literally trained monkeys. They are here to entertain, not to educate, not to inform, to make us laugh and cry. That's it. I don't go to a movie for a lecture. I go to a movie to be entertained. I don't play a video game for social messaging. I play a video game to have fun. We need to remind celebrities, like, what their lot is, what their place is. You do not exist to educate us. You are jumping, juggling, talented monkeys that perform for our amusement. You are court jesters. Know your place. I don't care what social causes you support. I don't care what politicians you endorse. And I mentioned this, I think I mentioned this as well on the podcast where I was talking about Trump winning. If Marilyn Manson came out and endorsed Donald Trump, that would also annoy me. And if someone voted for Donald Trump because of whoever endorsed him, that would annoy me. Like, even if they're voting for someone on my side, if you are voting for someone because a celebrity told you to, you're an idiot and you shouldn't be voting. I don't care who you're voting for. I don't care if you're voting for Donald Trump. I don't care if you're voting for Kamala Harris. I don't care who you're voting for. Vote for whoever because that's what you think is right. Not because my favorite celebrity told me to. I buy all their music. I have all their albums. I have all their vinyls. Their posters on my wall, and I masturbate to it every night. No. And it looks like America is making significant progress to getting to a point where we just don't give a shit about what celebrities say. Which is where we should be. Because again, they're not high thinkers. They're entertainment monkeys. That's what they are. That is what celebrities are. Musicians, actors, whatever. They're not thinkers. They are... they're a traveling circus. We're supposed to point and laugh when they make jokes, and we're supposed to be entertained by them. We're not supposed to take home moral messaging from them. And for a time, it was very concerning that people got a lot of their... my philosophy on life, I got that by watching a movie at the movie. No. Get that shit from... Get important life stuff from the Bible or, like, from intelligent thinkers, not people that do stupid stuff in front of a screen. Or influencers. Influencer is probably my least favorite word in the English lexicon. I can't think of a more insufferable term than an influencer. But anyway, I just went on a massive tangent there. But anyway, so that was the main thing I cared about the Super Bowl. Was Donald Trump getting cheered and Taylor Swift getting booed, because I thought it was funny, and it was a reflection of how celebrity worship culture is practically dying. And I'm here for it. Like, put more emphasis on things that actually matter and are actually important, and remind celebrities that they are not as important as they think they are. I love it when they come back down to earth, to mingle amongst the rest of us common folk. But anyway, so switching gears a little bit from football, something I don't care about, to wrestling, which is something that I do care about. So, this past Friday, a lot of people are referring to it as Black Friday in WWE. Because essentially, around this time every year, usually after WrestleMania, WWE's like, hey, we have a bunch of people that we aren't using and don't have plans for. Let's get rid of them to make room. They go on spring cleaning. And they did it before WrestleMania this time. And a lot of people were released, and I really wanted to talk about this because I have opinions. Mostly about one person that got released, and if you know me, you know exactly where I'm going with this. But I do have a list pulled up in front of me, and I want to go through each person just real quick and give my thoughts before I get to the main person that I want to talk about. All right, so I believe it was Friday. Was January 31st a Friday? Hold on just a second. Let me check my calendar. Yes, the 31st was Friday. All right, so Friday, Duke Hudson, who's from Chase U in NXT, he was released. I don't watch all that much NXT, so I don't know that much about him. Oh well. I don't really care for the Chase U gimmick. It's very, very corny. Same thing with that dude who's like the Don in NXT. I can't remember what his name is. His gimmick is basically he's the Godfather, and the only Godfather in wrestling that I care about is Michael Corleone, the CEO of Colonial Impact Wrestling. Once again, Sean, giving you and your company a shout out. You're welcome. So I just don't really care about those kinds of corny goofball gimmicks. And Chase U it just feels like an NXT exclusive thing, and it would die a death on the main roster. And the main dude, I don't even know his name, the one that always dresses like a school teacher, and he wrestles in his school teacher outfit, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Just wear wrestling attire when you're wrestling. Ugh. Akam, Razar, and Paul Ellering got released. So there goes the Final Testament. None of these I particularly care about all that much, except for the one that I really want to get to, but there goes the Final Testament. Karrion Kross has been doing the best stuff of his career. I love his little, evil shit stirrer gimmick in the back, where he, like, basically tries to go around and cause problems. He's really good at it. He's like a modern day Sean O'Hare. I very much approve of it. And what do you know? They start letting him use his personality, and all of a sudden, he's way better, because that stoic, gothic tarot card thing he was doing was so boring. But now that he's actually using his personality a little bit, it's much better. I like this version of Karrion Kross a lot more. Although we do need to see him in the ring more, because a backstage thing, that can work for a little bit, but you have to back it up with actually, wrestling in the ring, so... But yeah, I never really cared that much about AOP. I remember a couple of years ago when they made Rockstar Spud pee himself, and then AOPP was a thing for a while because Vince McMahon's WWE was the most mature of places. Paul Ellering, he was practically a mute for his recent stint. He just kind of stood around going, "Argh!" And that was it. Bye. Blair Davenport got released. All right, that one confuses me a little bit because they did something similar with Dijak, and he even said as much. Like, there was an interview where he talked about how when he was in NXT, he got the call up to Monday Night Raw, and he was like, I'm fucked. I'm screwed. Because he knew they weren't going to have any plans for him, and he was just going to get released, and a couple weeks later, they didn't have any plans for him, so they released him. Same thing here. Except they put her on SmackDown, they used her a couple times, and then we never saw her again. Like, why bother even calling her up? I mean, from what I saw of Blair Davenport, she was fine. But again, I didn't get to see enough of her to actually, like, form an opinion on her. I saw a little bit of her in NXT. I don't watch all that much NXT. But from what I have seen, Blair Davenport's been okay. And on the main roster, she was fine. But again, she only had like, what, 5 matches on SmackDown before, like, she had a match, and then we wouldn't see her for weeks. Then she would have a match, like, oh, she's a person who exists. And then she would be gone for a month, and like, why? And then they just got rid of her. Again, I don't understand why you would call someone up from NXT just to not use them and then fire them. If you're gonna call someone up, have a plan. They had a plan for Lyra Valkyria. They called her up. They had her win a bunch of matches before she lost to Nia Jax in the Queen of the Ring tournament. And now she's the Women's Intercontinental Champion. And she's going to be feuding with Ivy Nile from American Made soon. So they had something in mind for her. But if you don't have something in mind for someone, then don't call them up. Seems like a waste of time. And I don't get it. Cedric Alexander, I'm not surprised by this one at all. You never see him on TV. And all of his friends from the Hurt Business, which are now the Hurt Syndicate in AEW, are all like, Tony Khan, get him now. like they just dropped him. Grab him before he hits the pavement. We want another member of the Hurt Syndicate. But although at the same time, I'm like, Cedric, if you want your wrestling career to continue and flourish, I would not go to AEW, because AEW, as Eric Bischoff said, is the place where careers go to die. And that company still is just a giant, massive clusterfuck of just... my dislike of AEW is very well known, but... anyway, so... yeah, Cedric's probably going over to AEW, although... Tony Khan did have a very public tiff, I guess you could say, with Cedric's wife, Big Swole, which was honestly the one time where Tony Khan showed any kind of, testicles between his legs, and it was actually kind of funny. The one thing Tony Khan ever did that I liked was when Big Swole was like, you don't have enough black people. Diversity is very important to me. I don't see enough diversity. Where's my diversity? And Tony Khan was like, dude, I'm brown. There's a lot of brown people on the roster that have been winning matches and winning championships. I fired you because you suck at wrestling. What do you want from me? You have to be good at wrestling. Your matches weren't good, so I got rid of you. And I was like, you know what, Tony Khan? You do have testicles somewhere in those britches of yours. Over the past couple of years, they have appeared to have rescinded a little bit. But for a time, you did have balls, and I appreciated that. But I wonder if that'll be an issue with Cedric Alexander. Because I guarantee you his race-hustling wife is no fan of Tony Khan. But I don't... so that might be an obstacle. If Cedric Alexander does not go to AEW, because there's a clear want for him to be there to reunite all of the Hurt Syndicate. But if Cedric randomly does not go to AEW, the whole blow-up with Big Swole is probably the reason why. And that's understandable. I mean... even though Big Swole is a shitty human being and a terrible wrestler, if I was married to that thing and my boss insulted her, I would probably be annoyed and not want to work there either. But hey, Cedric, you chose to marry that, so fuck you, I guess. Anyway, Giovanni Vinci also got released. This is another one that I just do not understand. Apparently, he has heat with people backstage. There's a rumor that he tried a little something with Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton, of course, is dating Ludwig Kaiser. I don't know if that's true. That's a rumor. This is not the Totally Awesome Tabloid podcast, so I don't know if that hasn't been confirmed. But basically, they removed him on Raw. They removed him from Imperium. Ludwig beat the shit out of him. Then they took him off TV, completely repackaged him, made him this suave, debonair. I have my arm firmly planted up my own rectum. That's how rich and famous I am. They gave him that kind of gimmick. And then on SmackDown, they had him lose to Apollo Crews in like 4 seconds. And then he had a rematch with Apollo Crews, and he lost again. And that was it. And I was under the impression at the time, because after he lost to Apollo the second time, he went nuts and beat the shit out of him. And I was like, oh, they might be going for a rich man who's very cocky about how rich he is and how many vaginas he puts his penis in. But when you beat him too many times, he's going to go insane and actually start trying. He just needs to not be cocky. He's actually a killer. I thought that's where they were going with that. No. It was a public humiliation ritual, and then they got rid of him. And he's just been sitting in catering for months, and now he's gone. All right. Whatever boat you float, I guess. I don't really know why you would do that. But, it's not my company. I mean, if it were me in charge of WWE, and I found out that there was a faction where one of the guys was in a relationship with one of the female wrestlers, and the other guy in that faction tried to get a little something behind the scenes, and everyone got mad about it, I would just, if it became that big of a problem, I would be like, I would discreetly separate them and have him do his own thing. And if he was just, and if the entire locker room just soured on him, I'd be like, listen, bud, you shouldn't have did what you did. Now everyone kind of hates you, so, you sure you want to work here, buddy? I would have taken care, I would not have publicly humiliated the man on TV. Like, that just feels like a very Vince McMahon thing to do, which, that is Triple H's father-in-law. So I just don't agree with the way they went about that with Giovanni Vinci. Again, I was under the impression that they were going somewhere with that. No, the point was they wanted to embarrass him because of whatever he did backstage that pissed everyone off. Isla Dawn got released. She was fine. She never really did anything. Her and Kaylee Ray. And yes, I'm calling her Kaylee Ray because Alba Fire is a stupid name. Her name's Kaylee Ray. I will always refer to her as Kaylee Ray, although now I'm concerned about Kaylee Ray because now if Kaylee Ray gets released next, I won't be surprised because they've done absolutely fuck all with her, despite the fact that she's absurdly talented. And her and Isla Dawn, they had something. They never did anything with it except that they slapped the tag team titles on them arbitrarily. Just because they were in Scotland, and if they didn't, then every Scottish-born person on that show would have lost, because Drew McIntyre lost to Damian Priest, and Piper Niven lost to Bayley, so they had to have someone from Scotland win something. That's the only reason why Fire and Dawn won the tag team titles, only to lose them a couple months later back to Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. But there was something there. They had some chemistry, and if they actually tried, Fire and Dawn could have been a decent women's tag team. But again, they don't really give a shit about tag team wrestling in general. So, whatever. Isla Dawn's gone. She was fine, but now she's gone. Speaking of tag teams, one that I honestly didn't even know that they were still employed. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are gone again. Story of their WWE career. Oh, we're going to bring you in. We're going to have you do some stuff. And then you're going to be in catering for like a year. And then we're going to fire you. And then we're going to bring you back. You're going to do some stuff. And then we're going to put you in catering for another year. Oh, Carl Anderson had to go get surgery. Oh, while he's on the medical table, when he wakes up, let him know that he's fired. That's basically what they did. How dickish. I like WWE a lot more now under the Triple H administration, but that does not mean that they don't do some dickish shit every once in a while. Like, they did some dickish shit with Giovanni Vinci, or as I like to call him, Fabian Eichner, because again, these name changes are dumb. But, like, they humiliated Fabian Eichner or Giovanni Vinci, and then they fired him. And they just had Carl Anderson do nothing. Then he went and had surgery, and while he's recovering from surgery, like, oh, by the way, you're fired. Don't come back. What the fuck? That is so douchey. That is so douchey. But again, like, they weren't doing anything with the Good Brothers. They haven't done anything with them for months. Again, I legitimately forgot that they were under contract until all the releases started coming in, and I was like, oh, they still worked that. I mean, we're not anymore, but wow, they were there this whole time. It's like that. It's like when JTG was still somehow under contract for all those years, And there was like it's been this many days and JTG is still employed counter. But now they were, it was a similar thing with the Good Brothers, but now they're gone. Elektra Lopez also got released. That one kind of disappoints me a little bit because she also had potential. She was very green, but she never really had much on-air time. She never had much TV time to, improve her skills. But just another one of those, oh well. Legado del Fantasma, the hot girl that you had, the side piece, she's gone now. So you're less phantasmic now, I guess. But they've got rid of Elektra Lopez and they're keeping Zelina Vega. That's the world we live in. At least Elektra Lopez is tall and built. Yeah, she's green, but we'll never know if Elektra Lopez could have gotten good at wrestling because they got rid of her. But now we're stuck with fucking Mexican Riho in Zelina Vega, who still is under the impression that she's a wrestler. She's not. The only time I've ever liked Zelina Vega is when she was the manager for Andrade Cien Almas. That was such a good pairing. Because Andrade Cien Almas was unfortunately born without a personality, and Zelina Vega has one. And they were perfect for each other. They worked so well together, but then they were like, no, let's have Andrade by himself and just listen to, the crowd is all like, we respect you for being a good wrestler, but you're boring. You get, Andrade does get reactions, but he has a ceiling on the reactions he gets because he doesn't have a personality. Meanwhile, Zelina Vega is over here palling around with the LWO, the Loser World Order, and Rey Mysterio, and just, again, she's not a wrestler. Stop pretending. She did a really cool-looking Code Red to Jordynne Grace at the Royal Rumble, but that was all Jordynne Grace. Why do they still think Zelina Vega's a... I will always complain about this. But, you want to hear me complain? I will not be doing any complaining whatsoever with this final release, the one that I really wanted to get to. On the list of releases was none other than one of my favorite human beings on the planet, Sonya Deville. Whoa! Thank God! Yes! I'm sorry if I blew your eardrum out, but I love it when people who suck at wrestling get fired because they suck at wrestling. I was so happy. This was the happiest one for me. This was the happiest one. One thing about me, I care about the in-ring work in wrestling. Yes, having a personality is important, and yes, cutting promos is also important. But you gotta be able to go when that bell rings. That's part of why I was annoyed when Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. He's fine on the mic, and he's insanely over, but he's very, very limited in the ring. Although my whole thing on Jey Uso, I'm over me being annoyed by Jey Uso winning the Rumble. I'm fine with it now, and he's had decent matches with Gunther. As long as we get a good match at WrestleMania between him and Gunther, then I'll be fine. But my point is, the in-ring is important to me. The in-ring is important to me. Sonya Deville has always been atrocious in the ring. I remember when she first started. When did she first start in NXT? What year was her NXT debut? Sonya. Now I don't do any research beforehand. Sonya Deville NXT debut. December 3rd, 2015. Okay. So she's been with the company for almost a decade. I remember when I first saw her on NXT, and immediately right out the gate, I was not impressed. And the reason why is, right off the bat, her gimmick annoyed me. This was around the time when Ronda Rousey was starting to get some recognition in WWE, and I can't remember exact. I think it was in 2017 when Shayna Baszler, which I'll get to Shayna in a sec, because that's another piece of the puzzle. Because of the whole PFC thing and what an absolute disaster that was. You want to talk about horrible... Well, you want to talk about a faction that just did not work. I'll get to that train wreck in a second. But this was around the time when they were having some MMA interact, because Brock Lesnar had been in WWE. They had some other people that... This was around the time when there was more mixed martial arts and UFC integration within WWE. Sonya Deville, they had her come in NXT with the... And yeah, sure, I think Sonya Deville has fought in MMA before, or Bellator, or whatever. So she has some experience on that front. But it's just the way it came off. Like, you had these people coming in. Like, you had Brock coming back. You had Ronda Rousey getting some intrigue. You had Shayna Baszler in a couple of years. Actual MMA fighters. Who the thing was, the presentation makes it more real because you believe that these people will maul your sorry little ass. Like, these are real fighters that can fuck shit up. And then there's Sonya Deville who comes out, and her presentation, it didn't come off as an MMA fighter who's now in wrestling and is going to use their MMA skills to destroy everyone. Her presentation came off, to me anyway, like a professional wrestler with an MMA gimmick. Like a pro wrestler pretending to be an MMA fighter who's now a wrestler. And it just didn't work. It just did not work, and her matches were bad. People are saying, like, her matches got really bad after she got back because of her... No, it has nothing to do with her coming back from injury. Her matches have always been terrible. She has never had a good match. And it does not help that her stupid, phony MMA gimmick, or at least it felt phony, even if she does have real, legitimate MMA background experience, which if she does, cool, but... Like, the way that they were doing it, it just made it feel so phony. She thinks that she's an MMA fighter. Her gimmick is that she's an MMA fighter. It didn't feel real. It felt like they wanted me to believe that she was an MMA fighter, instead of showing it to me. Like with Brock, like with Shayna, like with Ronda, I had no problem whatsoever believing that they had MMA background. When I first saw Sonya, I was like, that's a caricature of an MMA fighter. That's like, she's a MMA fighter. Wink. Wrestling. Just like The Undertaker's an actual, zombie, boogeyman, mystical, superpowered, supernatural being, entity. That kind of wink with wrestling. That old-timey, like with the weird plumber gimmick, like when Kane... like Glenn Jacobs, he's a fiery demon from the pits of hell. He's also an evil dentist. That kind of shit. That's what kind of wafted onto me whenever Sonya Deville was on. Oh yeah, she's an MMA fighter. Wink! I hated it. And again, her matches were never good. I've never been impressed with her in-ring. I do remember, like, the most high-profile match she's ever had was that god-awful match with Mandy Rose at SummerSlam 2020 in the Thunderdome. That era of wrestling that I would love to erase from my mind. They had a no disqualification match on that show. I do not if you want to go watch it just to see how bad it was, have fun. I don't recommend it because it took years off my life. It was horrible. Like, both of them looked terrible in that match. And I remember there was a spot with a chair where one of them threw it at the other in the same exact way twice. Like, they repeated a spot, and that annoyed me. And in wrestling, there's this thing where if you bring out a weapon, someone's going to use it. Unless the idea is someone pulls out a table and the heel puts the table back under the ring to get mega heat from the audience. They pulled out a table and set it and went through the trouble of setting it up, and they were actually having trouble setting it up during the match, and then they never used it. And I was like, what was the point of that? What was the point of that? Terrible. Awful match. Horrible. I hated it. And just Sonya has always, like... And apparently, I didn't watch this, but it was an episode of Raw recently that I did not watch. Apparently, from what I've heard, the last time she had a singles match on television was she had a match with Io Sky, and apparently the match was not very good. And from what I hear, that stood out to people backstage, and that was the last time Sonya Deville had a one-on-one match. She was only in tags. And that might be part of why they got rid of her. Okay, on one hand, if you can't have a good match with Io Sky, then maybe you're in the wrong business. Maybe wrestling just isn't your thing. On the other hand, why did it take her having a bad match with Io Sky to get to that point where you're like, oh, she's not a good wrestler? Motherfucker, we've been saying, at least I have, I've been saying that for years. She's never been good. Why did it take her having a bad match with Io Sky in late 2024 or early 2025? Why did it take that to open some eyes to, oh, she sucks? No shit! Where have you been? Where have you been? What great Sonya Deville match have you been watching this whole time? She's had a career of terrible matches. I was talking about the Super Bowl earlier. As much as I don't like football, one thing I will say about, quote-unquote real sports, to be a part of these sports leagues, you kind of have to be good at the sport to make it onto these programs. Like, when I was young, when I was in elementary school, I was bullied because I don't really give a shit about football. The jocks that bullied me, some of them, they love the reason why is because I was in football country. I live in football country. Everyone around here loves football to death. I don't get it. I think it's boring as fuck, but it's clearly a disagreement of opinion. But the people that bullied me, they all wanted to go to the NFL. That was all of their dream. None of them made it to the NFL. You want to know why? Because they all sucked at football. I went to Andrew Jackson High School. And my graduating year, we were basically seen as the easy team to beat. We would lose games we would lose, not just lose games, we would get absolutely eviscerated constantly. We would lose matches like 0-70, 0-80. Andrew Jackson High School was not known for their football team when my age group was at Andrew Jackson. The people that bullied me, they were terrible at football. And that right there I thought that was funny. I was like, if you're gonna bully me because I don't like something, at least be good at the thing you're bullying me about. Like if you're terrible at football, then don't make fun of me for not even being interested in it. But yeah, none of those people, some of which I'm actually friends with now, but none of them are in the NFL. None of them came even close to sniffing the NFL. Because again, you kind of have to be good at football to be in the NFL. Whether or not it's a psyop like Sean thinks it is, which he's probably right about, but you kind of have to be good at sports to be at like you're not going to go to what's the main, is the World Series, I believe, is the biggest baseball game. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not a sports person, but you have to be good at baseball to be in the national, Major League Baseball, the MLB, I believe. I know that the NBA is basketball. Sports fans are just groaning and cringing profusely at my lack of sports knowledge. But my point is, you have to be good at sports to be on a national sports team. Like, if you suck at basketball, you're not going to the NBA. If you suck at football, you're not going to the NFL. Pro wrestling, on the other hand, is the only sport where you don't have to be good at wrestling to be on a wrestling show. And that infuriates me. That has always gotten on my nerves. Like, if Sonya Deville wanted to be a basketball player, she would have never made it to the WNBA. Like, if she showed the same level of skill in basketball that she has shown in wrestling, she would have never even sniffed the WNBA or any other women's sports league out there. Because she's a terrible wrestler. Her in-ring is always... And it's not even a situation where, oh, she's not that good in the ring. It's not a Jey Uso situation where, oh, the in-ring is whatever, but he's super over and he's decent on the mic. No. No one has ever given a shit about Sonya Deville. And her promo skills are below average. She's not bad on the mic, but she's nothing special. There are only two things in her wrestling career that have been of note. One was when she was an authority figure of some description for several years, which became a running joke on this podcast and the Court Martial podcast, because she was constantly an authority figure, but no one could actually point out whatever she actually did behind the scenes. And I know that drove Sean crazy. And he actually celebrated when they gave her a title and was like, oh, she's a WWE official. And she had that random feud with Naomi for no reason. Like, she just randomly woke up one morning like, Naomi refused my lesbian advances because she's married to an Uso. That means I hate her. That's why. That's why she hates Naomi, because they went to some kind of meet-up, and Sonya tried to put the moves on Naomi, and Naomi was like, ew, gross. I'm not a lesbian. I'm married to a Samoan. And now Sonya just in kayfabe has a raging hate boner for anything Naomi. She does not feel the glow. She wanted to feel the glow, but when she realized she wasn't going to be feeling any of that glow, or either of those glows, any of Naomi's glow sticks, alright, I'm going to get off this tangent. This is getting weird. But anyway, but my point is, back to the point, the only two things in Sonya Deville's wrestling career that were noteworthy at all was her being a heel authority figure of some description, and that weird, speaking of lesbians, that weird crazy stalker fan who wanted to abduct her so he could turn her straight with the power of his manhood. That is not a joke. That is a real thing that happened. This crazy fucking loser virgin dude broke into her house so he could kidnap her because he wanted to turn her heterosexual. He did not like that she was a lesbian because he wanted to have sex with her. And he was like, I'm going to turn her straight. That is a real thing that happened, and I am just as uncomfortable as you are. Like, as much as I don't like Sonya Deville, yeah, I felt bad for her at that point. Like, that dude, from what I understand, is going to be in prison for the next 15 years. Does not seem long enough. That's very, very rapey, and he should probably be in prison for a long, long time and never see the light of day ever again, because, my God. And if I saw the police video of that dude, bro, if anyone is going to turn a lesbian straight with his sheer masculinity, it is not going to be you. You and that jelly roll you've got. Shouldn't you, like, I can't believe I'm even discussing this. If any dude is going to turn a lesbian straight, wouldn't it be a hot dude? Wouldn't it be a hot, muscular dude? Not this fat schlub who looks like he's a Reddit mod. I guarantee you he has a fedora or 20 in his wardrobe. Alright, once again, I'm lost in a tangent. But my point is, the only two noteworthy things in Sonya Deville's entire career in WWE is her being some kind of authority figure of something, somehow, some way. She does something backstage. And that creepy stalker dude. Those two things are the only noteworthy things in her wrestling career. If the only two things in your wrestling career that people can think about and remember are creepy stalker fan and you being a heel authority figure, then that doesn't speak well to you being a wrestler. So, I don't understand. What gets me, why I was saving, because everyone was like, oh, Josh was going to go off on Sonya Deville. Even Sean was like, Sonya Deville got released. I know Josh was happy about that. You want to know why I'm happy about that? Because I don't understand how WWE can be the number one, the biggest wrestling company in the world, raking in millions and millions of dollars all the time, especially considering the hot streak they've been in the middle of since 2024. WWE has not been this hot in a long time. But even then, they've been the number one wrestling company for decades. How can you be the number one wrestling company in the world for decades and not realize when one of the people that you employ on TV sucks at wrestling? Wrestling is the only sport where you don't have to be good at wrestling to be on a wrestling show. And I fucking hate it. If I was in charge of WWE, If you, like, you can have the biggest personality, you can be the most overhuman being, but if you're not good in the ring when that bell rings, then you're not getting a spot. I'm sorry. You have to be, in my opinion, you have to be good in the ring. I'm not saying that that has to be the only thing. I'm not saying I would make Lance Storm or Dean Malenko the World Heavyweight Champion and give them a 1,000-day-long Roman Reigns type title reign because of how amazing they are. Because, again, those dudes are really good in the ring, but they don't have personalities. Like, you have to have a little bit of everything. Like, I love Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is one of my favorite wrestlers. He's really good in the ring. He's really good on the mic. And he's interesting. I know a lot of people think he's boring. I think he's interesting. He entertains me. Gunther, he's amazing in the ring. And he's getting... Gunther used to be kind of boring, but he has an edge to him, and he can be interesting when he wants to be. CM Punk. CM Punk is one of my favorites. He's really good in the ring, really good at the mic, really good on commentary. Even on commentary, no one can touch him. He's the total package. The only thing is he's not super muscular, and that was a big thing for Vince McMahon. But, like, my point is, you have to be good in the ring. Sonya Deville was never good in the ring. If you can't have a good match with Io Sky, maybe wrestling just isn't for you. I don't know why it took that to open their eyes. And I just hate seeing clear and absolute, just abject mediocrity getting a pass. Sue me. Am I naive? Am I just naive in believing in meritocracy? Am I just naive for believing that in order to have this job, you should be good at that job? Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck me. I have the radical opinion. I have the radical, pro-MAGA, hyper-masculine, just hyper-Nazi opinion that if you are bad at your job, you should not have that job. Woe is me, controversial opinion. Batten down the hatches, get him off of social media, deplatform and censor and cancel him. If you're not good at your job, you shouldn't have your job. Sonya Deville has never been good at her job. She shouldn't have been fired. She shouldn't have been fired because she should have never been hired. Apparently she was on Tough Enough. Isn't a show like Tough Enough, isn't part of the idea is, can any of these new people be a star in wrestling? Can they be good at wrestling? We're going to give someone a chance. Isn't that what NXT is for? Seeing who is good at wrestling and who is not? This LFG thing that they're doing. This WWE Evolve thing they're doing. Isn't the point of it finding new prospects that might be good at wrestling so you can hire them and turn them into stars? Like the next generation of stars? Okay, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, everyone that's in charge of WWE right now that are looking for new prospects, here's a tip. If they fucking suck, cut them! These new prospects that you're looking at, if you don't see anything there, don't hire them. I'm sick and tired of seeing people on WWE television that shouldn't be there. That's why I was so happy when Sonya Deville got fired, because she should have never been on WWE television. She was never good in NXT, and she was never good in the ring on the main roster. She's not good. And I haven't even gotten to PFC yet. That absolute disaster of a faction. The Pure Fusion Collective was a failure from day one. And honestly, those, like her, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler, the corpse of Shayna Baszler, that could have been something, but the absolute second, like the millisecond that the words Pure Fusion Collective came out of Sonya Deville's stupid face, that was it. It was dead. PFC, more like DOA. The second she said that ridiculous name, that faction died, and everyone knew it. Because everyone was laughing. The reaction was, what the fuck did she just say? The what? When my mom was watching the Royal Rumble with me, and she was like, oh, that's a trio. And I was like, yeah, their name is the Pure Fusion Collective. The look on my mother's face. She legitimately asked me, the Pure what? That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. My mom is as casual gets. And just, she was absolutely perplexed when I said that stupid name. That has got to be the absolute worst name for a faction I've ever heard. It literally feels like 3 random words just stapled together. Just awful. Awful. And they never got any reactions. Like, it makes me laugh whenever Raquel Rodriguez comes on the screen, because whenever Raquel Rodriguez walks out in front of a crowd, the enthusiasm and energy of the room just evacuates. It doesn't even evaporate. Like, the excitement of the crowd literally runs for cover whenever Raquel Rodriguez comes out, and it's absolutely hysterical. Same thing for the PFC. Same thing for the Pure Fusion Collective. Because Sonya Deville is not a good wrestler, and she does not have a personality. Shayna Baszler, honestly, I would be surprised. I'm surprised that she hasn't been cut yet, because she was great in NXT, an actual MMA fighter who actually had a sense of danger to her that you could buy into and believe, and then they beat that out of Shayna, and now no one takes Shayna Baszler seriously anymore, so they might as well get rid of her, because no one cares about Shayna, because we've been conditioned to not care about her. And then there's Zoe Stark, who's okay in the ring, but nothing special, and just, of the 3 of them, she has the least amount of personality. She has less of a personality than Raquel Rodriguez does. And the next time she comes out with a stupid claw face paint thing on her face, I might actually shoot my TV. Like, I might actually get a gun and shoot my TV, because I hate it whenever she wears that stupid claw mark makeup. It looks dumb. But just, no one cares. No one at all cared about that stupid faction. No one ever cared. Whenever I watched Raw, the second they came out, I immediately fast forward. I skipped through whatever they were doing because I could not be bothered. I could not give any less of a shit if I tried. Pure fucking crap. That's what that stable was. But now I don't have to worry about it anymore, because the ringleader, Sonya Deville, finally got given the axe, and thank God. Just best of luck in your future endeavors, Sonya Deville. Just don't even go to the independents. Don't go to AEW. Wrestling is not your thing, Sonya. It's just not your thing. Go back to MMA. Pick up crocheting. Become a lawyer. I don't know. What are people's hobbies now? Go read a book. Go start an EFED. I don't know, TLW, Total Lesbian Wrestling. I don't know. Go do something that does not involve you pretending or trying and failing miserably to wrestle in the middle of the ring. Just, Sonya Deville, Pat McAfee said it best at the Royal Rumble. It's like a sign from the universe. Take it as a sign from the universe and just go away. Don't ever come back to wrestling. You won't be missed. But yeah, those are basically my thoughts on the WWE releases, the Black Friday that seeped into Saturday. Some of them I'm like, that's a shame. Others I'm like, I didn't know they were still there, and I'm not surprised. And then we have Sonya Deville, where I'm literally contemplating throwing a party. So those are my thoughts on that. But before we close out, I don't even know what to say about this next topic. Kanye West, ladies and gentlemen. Just, you wanted to, okay. I don't really, up until like the past couple of years, I've never really had an opinion on Kanye West other than I don't like rap or hip hop. I've always heard of him, but I can't remember if it was last year or like in 2023 or 2022, but the man had some kind of meltdown a couple years ago where he anti-Semite isn't the word. Full on stark raving mad lunatic is more the word. But he went on Alex Jones's program a couple years ago, dressed head to toe in some kind of weird ski outfit, like he didn't want to show his face or anything, and had a bottle of Yoo-Hoo, and was just being really weird. And I think, was Nick Fuentes there as well? I can't remember, but basically, Kanye West made Alex Jones look like the sane one, which is a hard task to pull off. Imagine being alone in a room with Alex Jones, and Alex Jones is the normal one. That is an accomplishment. And he just went off on the Jews, said a bunch of weird stuff, started speaking in gibberish. It was strange. It was very strange. Well, over the past week, I think, and during the Super Bowl, we had a little bit of a sequel of sorts, and oh boy. All right, while I was delivering pizza and while I was looking at people reacting to the Super Bowl and laughing at Taylor Swift getting booed and Donald Trump getting cheered, every once in a while, while I was just scrolling, and I would see a post on X from Ye, which he calls himself now, of him just going absolutely butt-fucking insane. Every tweet that he would send was in all caps, just to let you know he was super-duper serious and totally not having a psychotic break. And I tried to look up some of his tweets, but he deleted his Twitter account or got thrown off Twitter. But I'm going to read this is one of the tweets that I was able to find. Again, in all caps, this is a tweet from Kanye West. I have dominion over my wife. This ain't no woke-ass feminist shit. She's with a billionaire. Why would she listen to any of you dumbass broke bitches? People say the red carpet look was her decision. Yes, I don't make her do nothing she doesn't want to, but she definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without my approval. You stupid-ass woke pawns. I have no regret or empathy for anyone living, because no one living can fuck with me, but I do love some people, and I give them favor. All in caps, no punctuation, no, I don't even know what to say to that. But it was just a constant stream of tweets just like that, purely nonsensical, paragraphs, all of which in all caps. And the one, like, I was looking periodically, and then I went to go, throw some cardboard boxes away because we have where I work. There's a dumpster and a recycle bin. I was putting cardboard boxes in the recycle bin. While I was doing that, I looked at my phone, and that's when I saw the tweet from Kanye West. I'm a Nazi, and I'm just like, oh, okay, all right. And then I saw another one that was something to the effect of, yo, Hitler was so fresh. And I'm just like, Kanye, what are you doing, bro? Like, and I listened to Michael Knowles talk about this and Tim Pool, who I listen to both of them fairly frequently. And I kind of agree with both of them, because Tim Pool was like, the dude has done everything in life. He's been married multiple times. He's a billionaire. He's a platinum recording artist. He's been on top in the world, and he's probably just bored and is just trying to keep his name in the headlines by just saying offensive shit. Which is what he did a couple years ago, which it all felt like he was A, having a meltdown, and B, like, I'm having a meltdown. I should use this as some kind of publicity stunt. And Michael Knowles was also like, recently he allegedly converted to Christianity and put out an album called Jesus is King. And Michael Knowles is under the impression that when you convert to Christianity, that pisses off the devil, and the devil will send principalities and higher powers after you to basically, like, accentuate your flaws and, like, make your life a living hell because he's mad that you're a Christian and he has no dominion over you anymore. So that's what Michael Knowles thinks, and I'm like, I think both of you are right. I think, A, he's crazy and is having another psychotic meltdown because he's not the center of attention and he so desperately wants to be. And B, if he did convert to Christianity, which I highly doubt, I think that whole thing was just another psyop. It's like everyone's favorite word now. If he is, then maybe the devil is attacking him via principalities and demons and just driving him insane for the entire world to see on a public forum. I think both Michael Knowles and Tim Pool have a good point. But the insanity did not stop there. He has a merch site called Yeezy.com or .net, whichever one it is. He put up a video. He took out a Super Bowl ad, which was just a weird video. Like, there was a weird video of him. It looked like he was at the dentist's office where he had, like, this white grill over his teeth, and he just sounded like he was on something. I don't know if he was, like, inebriated or mid-psychotic break or both. I don't know. I don't know the context, but that video was weird. But he took out and everything he was saying was complete gibberish. It was very hard to understand anything he was saying. But basically, if you go to he was posting this link to his website, Yeezy. And if you go to the site, he took down all of his products. Like, he wiped his entire site clean. And there's only one product available for sale on that website. It is a white shirt with a black swastika on it. That is the only thing available on Yeezy as of this recording. Just... oof, where's my phone? Alright, I found the sound effect I was looking for. My thoughts on Kanye West over the past couple days. Yeah, just major oof. Just every time I looked at Twitter during the Super Bowl and saw anything Kanye West posted, all my brain could do was... just. And then when I heard about how on his site Yeezy, the only thing available is a swastika shirt, my brain again went... But we're still not done yet. Because after all of this, he started just straight up, no joke, posting hardcore pornography all over his Twitter. And at that point, everyone was like, all right, you can stop now. You can stop. I can't oof anymore. You've broken my oof-ometer. And finally, either he took his account down or his account was taken down. And everyone on X was like, okay, can we just ban porn on this platform, please? And just, I don't even think that slowed down oof is emblematic enough about everything Kanye West was up to for that very, very concerning 36-hour period of him just going absolutely butt-fucking insane. Principalities at work? Perhaps. Boredom? Perhaps. Mental breakdown? You betcha. So yeah. If Kanye West does anything else that is absolutely insane, I'll probably bring it up on the next episode of Post-TAP. But I just wanted to talk about that briefly because I was both concerned and entertained at the same time, and very, very puzzled as well. So, pray for Kanye West. His mind, his wife, his soul, and anyone that is unfortunate enough to be within a 50-foot radius of him at any given part of the day. I feel bad for those people. So yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this very interesting and long episode of Post-TAP. We talked about some wrestling. We talked about Kanye West losing his fucking mind. We talked about Taylor Swift getting booed like she should. Culture is back, ladies and gentlemen. Even though I don't like football, football still sucks. Another thing, people were whining about Kendrick Lamar or whoever the rapper was at the halftime show, worst halftime. Every year, the halftime show, oh, it's the worst halftime show ever. You say that every year. You know what would be better? A metal show. Have Bad Omens play at the halftime show. There we go. That'll make it better. That's my decree, my humble decree. Make Bad Omens great again. Alright, now we're just going off the rails. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Post TAP. I will see you guys next time for episode 13. Good night, everybody. And don't make shirts with swastikas, because Kanye West will try to buy them.